Welcome back to Steve Robb Reviews. Today I'm going to review a repair that I did last summer. Well, I didn't know if it would work, but I took one of these, a solar charge controller, and fixed a lawn tractor. And this is something else. I'll explain it all. Let's go over to the bench. Okay, so I'll show you all the stuff that I used to fix this particular lawn tractor. And all I needed was my multimeter, solar charge controller, and a small little switch. And the problem with this lawn tractor, well, let's just take a look at this picture here. And this is a picture of a voltage gauge. And if you see where it's usually sitting around 13, 14 volts, well, if you take a look at the yellow line on the right there, well, this one was pegged at 18. So my buddy down the road from my camp came over and said, there's something wrong with my lawn tractor, could I take a look at it? And this is what I used to fix it. I had one of these sitting around. I always buy quite a few of these when they go on sale. I'll show you how much I paid for this. Check that out. So when these things come out on sale, I usually pick them up. And we're going to take a good look at this. I'm going to show you how I fixed the problem, and maybe this could help some of you out that are working on an old piece of equipment. I don't know who made this lawn tractor, but all it said was Roper 12 horsepower. And it was the dirtiest, greasiest lawn tractor you ever seen. But, well, so far, this fixed it, and I'll show you how. So if we just take a look at this solar charge controller here. If we just take a look at the top here, a little bit of the specs. And you could see rated voltage 12 or 24. It automatically selects itself. Rated current. Okay, so you're never going to get 30 amps coming out of any of these lawn tractors, you know, on their stator. So, it'll take a maximum of 50 volts. So, you know, when it comes down to it, I've never seen, you know, up to 50 volts, and I've never seen a lawn tractor that puts out DC amps higher than probably 10. So 30 amps is, you know, is fine for this. So if we just take a look at this here, we've got some input cables, and this is where your solar panel is supposed to hook up your feed into here, up to a maximum of 30 amps DC. And as you could see here, it's just a couple of pins that go in there. And you just put your cabling in here, and the first thing you do when you hook it up is you hook it up to your battery first. So these two lines here, and all we got is a positive on this side, a negative on this side, a positive on this side for the battery, and a negative on this side. Now this particular outlet here is just for if you want to hook up a light, or if you want to hook up any other type of feed. Well, you can hook it up with these two, and it's just a regular positive, negative, and this is just USB outlets, which I've never used. So it's pretty basic, and the only thing that this does is it only monitors voltage. It has nothing to do with monitoring the amperage. Whatever amperage comes in here will go to your battery until the voltage reaches a certain level, which you can adjust, and then it'll shut off the amperage going to the battery. So let's just take a little quick look here, and what I'll do is I'll just draw some lines. So on this one here, you've got your negative, so we'll run a negative line here, and we'll run a negative line that comes out of this one. And then for this side, you've got your positive coming out of here, and you've got your positive coming out here. And this is going to your solar. These two are going to your solar, or in this particular situation is the charge line from the voltage regulator on the tractor. And this particular unit was so dirty and nasty, he just wanted it fixed, right? So this here would be your charge line circuit, and these two here is going to be your battery. So all I did was I ran from the starter. So you got a starter, and you got a post on the starter. One cable goes to your battery. But from the voltage regulator, there was one line that went from the voltage regulator to the post on the starter. So all I did was I removed this and I brought it over to here, and it fed into the charge controller and bypassed this. Now remember, this was reading 18 volts, which is way too high for a charging circuit. Now, on the positive side was just bypassed the starter connection and just went right directly to the battery through the charge controller. So it goes through the charge controller and then comes out to your battery. Now, on the negative side, it just went to my ground. And if we take a look at the battery side, all I did was this already had its own going to its ground, so I had to go to a ground on the battery side. And on this side here, well, what I did was I had to put a switch in here because this would always be on, and these usually run at about 10 to 15 milliamps. So I mean, if you're not using your tractor every day, it's going to drain your battery down. So all I did, put a switch in here, off and on. And when you turn the switch off, when you had the ignition key on, well, the voltage didn't read anything on the meter. So that was good. And that resolved the situation because we have the charge line from the voltage regulator coming in to where the solar panel would hook up, goes through the charge controller and drops it down to the proper voltage going into a battery. So this is just an auxiliary charge controller that you would have on an engine that would be called a voltage regulator. And I've used this charge controller as a voltage regulator. It was very simple to hook up. So far, it's still running. So take a look at this charge controller itself. I mean, for the price, you know what? I bet you this is cheaper than me trying to figure out what kind of voltage regulator came out of the stator on this particular engine. To me, it looked like a Briggs & Stratton 12 horse, but this was an easy fix. And, you know, I never really thought about this before, but this is good for up to 30 amps. So there's all kinds of bush fixes out there, and you know, I think this is a terrific hack. You can get these for up to 100 amp, right? And they're not expensive. So I mean, maybe 40 bucks, you know. But you know, this here, they're not expensive. And I have about I've used about 10 or 12 of these. You never get the same brand twice. And so far, they just don't break down. I've had no problems with them. And for fixing a piece of machinery, if you're working on something and you don't want to go through the procedure of tearing something apart, finding the part number, ordering the part number, by the time you get it, when this reached this guy up in Northern Ontario, well, the grass season would be over for cutting, I guarantee you. This did the trick. I'll keep you up to date next year and let you know if this is still going. But the whole idea is, yeah, you got to put a switch in between or this will eventually drain your battery down. So thanks for joining me here today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'll try and answer them the best I can. But this was about the best bush fix that I ever did before. And, well, I like to share whatever I do on this channel. And if you haven't seen this channel before, you're welcome to subscribe and see some more interesting things you might not see somewhere else. Cheers.